Hey, it is Debbie Potts, and I'm back again to do a follow-up on looking at how we can improve the aging process by knowing our genetics, and that will help us figure out a little bit more on how to choose your priorities to choose how to be your best self in your 70s, 80s, 90s. Now, I was looking at my DNA report from the DNA company. You can use our code, low carb athlete, to save on your purchase. But look at this report. As I said, you can click on all the reports. And I am wanting to really optimize my health, as my father had heart disease, 12 years ago, and then he had kidney issues and type of cancer. So I really need to take this seriously. I always am exercising and doing what I can do to get the right supplements and lab testing and figuring out what I need for a personalized program. But looking at my genetics, I have a little more idea on which supplements I need to prioritize: lifestyle habits, nutrition, exercise. Now, cardiovascular inflammation, I think as athletes, we need to be concerned because with endurance work, we are causing more oxidative stress. So cardiovascular inflammation, just to look over the video here, if you're watching me on YouTube, you'll see the blue, optimal, green is normal, suboptimal, yellow, and then red is poor. So let's look at my reports on cardiovascular inflammation. Many persistent health concerns, conditions, disorders, and diseases can be traced back to chronic cellular inflammation. Cellular inflammation occurs in response to unwanted substrates such as a toxin in the bloodstream. As a result, the body has a built-in system for managing and resolving inflammation. The genes we carry in our DNA have a big impact on these processes. So we want to know this. Don't you want to know this? Health outcome summary for Debbie. Now, for me, I have an increased predisposition towards development of cardiovascular inflammation, which is a contributor to cardiovascular disease. I have my body's defense against onset of inflammation. My blood vessels caused by harmful toxins is suboptimal, and I have suboptimal, a red marker in the environmental profile. So this says several gene pathways influence your overall cardiovascular profile, determining how well you can remove toxins as cigarette smoke, mold, oxidants, pollution, chemicals, and even estrogen metabolites from your body. This is important because when you have too many toxins in your blood vessels, which can lead to inflammation, which can restrict blood flow and ultimately lead to things as heart disease, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, stroke, clogged arteries. So we want to take this seriously. Your cardiovascular system, as every system in our body, functions as a product of multiple processes, each of their own efficiencies. As a result, even if you have good versions of the cardiovascular genes as the 9p21, APOE, and ACE, we may still be at potentially increased risk for cardiovascular health concerns if processes like methylation, glutathionization, and antioxidation are not working as optimally as they should. So this is my report. Obviously, I'm unique. These are my genetics. So I just wanted to share them with you because I think you would want to know this too. So I need to make sure I do the right things because my detoxification and antioxidation, some of them are okay, but I've got some yellow markers, GSTP1. And then the big ones I'm really concerned about are my detoxification, and I need to support with more glutathione. Now, you can look at just a summary of it, but then it gives you the breakdown. And then my vascular inflammation results. And then you can scroll down, and then it has recommendations with nutrition and lifestyle. And then we've got habit recommendations, behaviors to avoid, and supplement recommendations. Now, remember, supplements are supplementing your nutrition, exercise, and lifestyle program. We want to get the nutrients we need from eating real food. And that's why I do try to take an organ supplement, because I'm not eating organ meat, and I don't think I ever will. But never say never. But a capsule is easier for me. But there are supplements I like as from Quicksilver, mitochondria support. So this says I need more mitochondria optimizers, methylation support, detox support, vitamin D, omega-3, and a coenzyme Q10. So if I'm concerned about longevity, as I am, and improving the aging process, taking ownership of my health, this is a great example of what I want to probably implement into my protocol for my anti-aging supplements. Now, I have shared my blood chemistry panel, and I do have some inflammation in my body. And looking at your other labs, we always want to look at the whole picture. So not just looking at your genetic report, but this gives me more alert that I need to continue looking at my blood work and getting my blood work checked more regularly, so I know how I need to control my inflammation in my body. So those hidden internal sources of chronic stress. So lifestyle habits, the sauna, supplementing, watching what I eat, supporting my liver is something I need to do. I do know I am more sensitive to smells, and like someone today swimming, a new person came and they stunk of cologne or something, aftershave lotion or something. I could not breathe. And when someone's driving by smoking, I can sense that, smell that from a ways, and they give me headaches. So that might be related to my genetics. Now, going back to NAD, we're talking about how to help your mitochondria cells and aging. There's a lot of information I was trying to go into on NAD plus. And Ben Greenfield, I just listened to it today. He has a great podcast he did recently on NAD, and he did some, whoops, I can't get out of here, full reports on NAD, and a good article. This one was an older one, Understanding B3, 8 different vitamins that make up the B complex. B3 vitamins are precursors to NAD, and how that will help the body to create more NAD by making sure we get B3, and then looking at nutrition. This article Ben had was Longevity, Anti-Aging, a deep dive in NAD. And I wanted to share this link in the show notes with you, but making the smart decisions now and knowing your genetics will help because of epigenetics, doing what we can do with the nutrition, exercise, and lifestyle habits, supplementing where we need to, but picking what supplements we need, because there's so many different ones people talk about. So let's start with what even Huberman had on his recent podcast on longevity supplements is nothing replaces the lifestyle habits. And as I always say, you can't out supplement poor lifestyle habits. So if you're drinking alcohol every night, you're staying up late, you're not getting outside in the morning and seeing morning sunlight, you are not exercising consistently, or you're not doing the right type of exercise, or you're doing too much high volume exercise, too much excessive chronic cardio. We need to get regular exercise, but the right type of exercise. So high intensity interval training, again, more is not better for any of this. So even listening to this podcast on NAD today with Ben, and he had 2 researchers on NAD on the show that he interviewed, that it goes again with everything I read about and learn through my own journey is more is not better. Less is more. Find the right amount, create that positive dose. And so when people hear something as good as cold therapy, or doing the plunges, cold plunges, doing sauna, doing supplement, that NAD is good, so more should be better. I agree, just intuitively, not science-based decision, but titrating supplements in and out, as I said on Ben's podcast today, 5 days on, 2 days off, cycle things. You don't need it every day. But let's look at what Ben found on his research through habits, regular exercise. For example, has been found to positively influence NAD plus status through various mechanisms. So upregulating, well, I won't get into all the sciencey stuff, but the high intensity interval training, the short burst training with recovery, that has unique benefits to NAD plus status. And so you can look at the research on there. HIIT training, also improvements. Of course, we've discussed this recently, mitochondria function, and looking at nutrition, what nutritional therapy foods help NAD production. So eating fermented foods, Ben likes kimchi, sauerkraut, kefir, and an added bonus is a positive effect on his NAD status. So fermentation process helps produce lactate by using NADH, and this leads to the production of NAD plus. And they explain that pretty well in his podcast on NAD. What is NADH versus NAD plus? And I got to go back and take notes on that because one is, I forget how to explain it, active, non-active, carrier. Anyways, you can listen to his show. But the point is eating fermented food. So we won't get to the science, biochemistry, exercise physiology. Fermentation process helps produce lactate by using NADH. So that's just basically, I think most listeners just want to know, what should I do? So if you don't want to know the science, eat fermented foods, do HIIT training 2 to 3 times a week. And the why on here is interesting on fermented foods. Enhanced gut health. Now, I really like diving into gut health, but interesting how fermented foods can influence NAD production. But the enhanced gut health, that the gut microbiota plays a crucial role in NAD plus metabolism. Imbalances in the gut microbiome has been associated with NAD plus levels being reduced. Consuming fermented foods can help restore and maintain healthy gut microbiota, supporting optimal NADH plus production and utilization. Improved nutrient absorption. Fermentation breaks down complex molecules into simple forms, making the nutrients in fermented foods more easily absorbed in the body. So you can go back and read all this on bengreenfieldlife.com/body longevity anti-aging. Just look up for NAD deep dive. So great information. It goes into consuming natural fructose, that on NAD production and fruit and honey. So that's another one to dive into. Heat shock therapy. So that's why I was just learning about. Really interesting, because I'm thinking this in my head, reading this. Red light therapy and my NAD supplement on my lotion, I just put on my Instagram today, taking NAD cream and then doing red light therapy. So what if I have NAD and then go in the sauna? Now, NAD injections, I found out doing this last week, and then Ben said this on the podcast, and watching other people that we were taking NAD injections at La Jolla Wellness Institute. It makes you really intense, excited. And it's more in that sympathetic fight or flight. You feel like you just had a shot of alcohol. So it's very stimulating. So you don't want to take NAD supplementation at nighttime or even later in the afternoon if you're sensitive as myself. So it reacts similarly to caffeine. And I know someone was saying they didn't do well with NAD because it was too much. And I asked them if they drink coffee, and they don't do well with coffee. So they were talking about that actually in Ben's podcast as well. It's something to learn more about. But saunas may have potential benefits for NAD. So let's look at that. That's interesting. And an indirect NAD plus boost, heat, stress, and sauna. And then exercise and NAD, combining sauna with exercise, which I don't know I can't really exercise in my sauna. It's a 3-person sunlight and sauna, but not huge one as Ben has. Exercise increases NAD levels and activates various NAD-dependent enzymes involved in energy production. Sauna use after exercise can enhance recovery, reduce muscle soreness, and potentially optimize NAD-related processes involved in cellular repair and energy metabolism. So I must say, though, I've been thinking about using my sauna after my long bike ride on a Saturday, or workouts in the summer in general, or on a hot day, which can be it's November here in San Diego and it's 80 degrees. We have warm weather in the fall. It's actually the best time of year to come, by the way. It's clear skies, beautiful sunsets, and we don't have that marine layer, but it's been warm. And so last thing I feel like doing after a bike ride is getting into a sauna. And it is my intuitive sense that I should not be, it doesn't make sense to go in a hot sauna when I've been riding in hot weather. So I'm already probably close to dehydrated, and heat exhaustion seems like that would be happening if I had a sauna after exercising in the sun. So checking on when it's appropriate to do sauna post-workout, I think is not being in outdoor hot weather. So heat stress and NAD, interesting area to look at as well. So looking at this huge blog article that Ben has, I think is good deep dive. So easiest thing, go to the summary. I always pull up to the end of the book or end of the article or research study. So NAD plus levels represents metabolic activities and health of our cells. Better ratio means better health. NAD plus increases activity, several important enzymes as sirtuin, proteins, and the ADP ribose, polymerase, which is easier to say, PARPs, PARPS enzymes. And these, the PARPs and the NAD have interplay and significant implications to DNA damage, cellular energy metabolism, and human health as whole. Anyways, go read this. Interesting if you want to deep dive in NAD. One thing I should note, because I've listened to people say that they're drinking alcohol every night. I think it's counterproductive when you're taking NAD supplementation and exercising, or not exercising, and drinking alcohol. So just make sure you know that you're just kind of, you're taking one step forward, two steps back kind of thing. So if you're drinking alcohol, it reduces your NAD levels. So you want to moderate your alcohol consumption. I have a personal rule that I give my clients too, that I suggest not drinking more than 2 nights a week and avoiding more than 2 drinks a night when you drink, and looking at even less than that for some of us. I think this is interesting information on longevity and youthfulness as I'm looking for. So you can check out, Ben uses BioStack Labs, but I've been looking at in La Jolla Wellness Institute, and there's some other places, but that's where I've been checking out their NAD. So we want to look into all the confusing words I put into a blog page. What is NAD? Why is it so popular? So NAD precursors, we've got NMN and NA and NAM and tryptophan. There's a lot to dive into. So if you want to geek out, you can dive into this research I put together. Sirtuins, what are those? What are the benefits of NAD? Is the summary here. So let's wrap up my little rabbit hole part 2 on NAD. But the benefits, they're molecules that we can take in a supplement form to increase NAD levels. NAD boosters, some of them can help restore mitochondrial function, help repair blood vessels, may improve muscle function, help repair cells and damaged DNA, may help cognitive function, may help prevent age-related weight gain. That was some information. And looking at the link for here was on Ben Greenfield's deep dive on his website. Just went over how to improve NAD status. We just went over there to Ben's website and looked at that. And I think looking at the benefits, how you can improve your aging process, I think would go back to look at your genetic reports. Do I need these supplements here? Look at your blood chemistry panel, look at your GI map test, and look at a micronutrient test, like understanding, do you need vitamin B3? Do you have signs and symptoms of inflammation? So just look at this information. It's pretty interesting. I put all this into one blog because that's how I find things, but really looking at NAD, the benefits. But for us looking at the aging endurance athlete, what I felt the most taking NAD is the boost in brain focus, clarity, and energy. And the goal of slowing down the aging clock, process, improving the aging process, slowing, reversing, whatever you want to do. That's why I think NAD is so popular, because naturally our NAD levels decline as we get older. So what if, same thing with our estrogen and progesterone? We've been talking about research on Dr. Stacy Sims for female athletes is looking at, all right, this slows down. So why don't I fill in the gaps and supplement with what I'm losing, or change how I eat, how I train, how I prioritize sleep and my lifestyle habits to improve those changing areas. So NAD supplementation or the injections might improve the aging process by helping us get healthy cellular function, and really looking at the neurodegenerative conditions, diabetes, cardiovascular issues. I'm experimenting now with the skin health. I bought some of the cream yesterday and did my red light mask, stack that together. But what if I did some nitric oxide supplementation, as I podcasted yesterday about nitric oxide? So if I took some niacin before and then took NAD and then the red light mask, what is that going to do? So just some thoughts today. Check out the website on Ben Greenfield Life and the debbiepotts.net. And hopefully that gives you some information on supplementation of NAD. What does it do? What does it help with? So just remember, mostly I think it's the energy metabolism is what I feel the most, because it helps certain enzymes involved in the Krebs cycle and creating ATP. So going back to exercise physiology in college. So vital cellular function, cellular repair, cellular defense is definitely part of improving the aging process and longevity. NAD is also referred to the fundamental housekeeping molecule, key modulator of cell signaling and survival pathways, and involved with longevity and health, because it's helping with regeneration, reducing inflammation, promoting healthy brain function, fighting chronic fatigue. So check out this great information. Looking at, I think, your blood chemistry panel. Remember, we've talked about getting your CRP, A1C, oxidized low density protein, checking out your mitochondria markers. That would be on the organic acids test. You can look at Rupa Health, is where I go to order clients' lab tests and send them to them directly. But it's just simple place where we can order labs as a practitioner and send them to you. So all these different categories on the left side. And if you want to look at, let's see, just toxins, and then we can pick what labs to do for toxins. This is their blogs on here, but Rupa Health is amazing for practitioners to order tests. So check out that, and I will be available. If you have questions, just shoot me an email at debbiepotts.net. So we'll talk soon. Thanks for listening.